The deep hum of the Horizon's engines filled the bridge as Captain Mark Thompson stared at the massive alien ship through the main viewport. The vessel was beautiful in a strange way, its dark purple hull seemingly absorbing the starlight around it. After 20 years of space exploration, humanity had finally made contact with an advanced alien civilization. "They're hailing us again, Captain," said Jack, the communications officer. His fingers hovered over the controls as he waited for orders. The whole crew held their breath, knowing this moment would change human history forever. "Accept the transmission," Mark ordered, straightening his uniform. The main screen flickered to life, revealing tall, graceful beings with silvery skin and eyes that seemed to contain swirling galaxies. The Void Walkers, as they called themselves, looked exactly like the advanced alien race humanity had always imagined meeting. The alien leader spoke, their words automatically translated by the ship's computer. "Your species has shown remarkable progress, reaching beyond your cradle world so quickly. We have been watching your development with great interest." Mark smiled diplomatically. "We're honored to make your acquaintance. Humanity has long hoped to meet other intelligent life in the universe. We have much to learn from each other." The Void Walker's expression didn't change, but something in their tone shifted. "Yes, you do have much to learn. Your species is still young, emotional, unpredictable. You require guidance, structure, control." The temperature on the bridge seemed to drop several degrees. Mark's smile faded as he processed their words. "I'm afraid I don't understand. We're here to establish peaceful contact and cultural exchange." "Peace requires order," the alien replied. "Your species represents chaos. Your emotions make you dangerous, unstable. We have seen your history, your wars, your conflicts. For the greater good of the galaxy, you must be contained." Before Mark could respond, alarms blared throughout the ship. "Multiple ships dropping out of faster-than-light travel," shouted Peter from the sensor station. "They're surrounding Mars colony." The main screen split, showing a feed from Mars. Hundreds of Void Walker ships appeared in the red planet's sky, their weapons already charging. The colony's measly defenses didn't stand a chance. "Stop this," Mark shouted, his hands gripping the arms of his command chair. "There are 10,000 civilians down there." The Void Walker leader's expression remained unchanged. Emotional response detected. "This proves our point. Your kind cannot be allowed to roam freely among the stars. The colony will serve as a demonstration." The bridge crew watched in horror as energy beams rained down on Mars colony. The protective domes cracked, then shattered. Emergency force field generators kicked in, but they wouldn't last long. Desperate distress calls flooded the communications channels. Mark felt something he had never experienced before. It wasn't just anger, it was fury, pure and focused. Around him, his crew members showed similar reactions. The ship's instruments began to fluctuate wildly. "What's happening to our readings?" Peter asked, checking his displays. "These energy signatures don't make sense." The Void Walker leader's calm facade cracked slightly as their own instruments detected the anomaly. The energy output from the horizon was changing, becoming something their sensors couldn't properly analyze. "Fascinating," they said. "Your emotional state is generating unprecedented energy patterns. This requires further study." "No," Mark said, his voice deadly quiet. "What this requires is a response." He opened a channel to Earth. "This is Captain Thompson of the Horizon. The Void Walkers have attacked Mars colony. They see us as primitive, dangerous, emotional. They think this makes us weak." He paused, letting his anger focus his thoughts rather than cloud them. "They're about to learn how wrong they are." The Void Walker ships continued their assault on Mars, believing their superior technology made them invincible. They didn't notice how their shield harmonics began to waver, how their weapon systems became less precise. Something about the humans' emotional state was affecting their carefully calibrated equipment. As rescue ships rushed from Earth to Mars, as the military mobilized with unprecedented speed, As humanity united in grief and rage, the Voidwalkers made a crucial mistake. They assumed that human anger would make them reckless, easy to defeat. They didn't understand that human anger, properly focused, could reshape reality itself. The war that would change the galaxy forever had begun, and humanity's anger would prove to be more powerful than any weapon the aliens possessed. Admiral Jane Roberts stood in Earth's main defense command center, watching the massive screens that showed humanity's united fleet assembling in orbit. It had been 3 days since the Mars colony attack, and the response had been unlike anything in human history. Old enemies became allies overnight. Every nation pooled their resources, their best minds, their military forces. "Admiral, you need to see this," called Dr. Mike Parker from his station. His hands moved quickly over the holographic displays as he brought up sensor data from the Mars incident. "Look at these energy readings from the horizon during the first contact." Jane walked over, her boots clicking on the metal floor. The graphs showed strange spikes in energy output that didn't match any known pattern. "What am I looking at, Doctor?" "The impossible," Mike said, his eyes bright with excitement despite his exhaustion. "When Captain Thompson and his crew got angry, they generated an energy signature we've never seen before. And look here." He pulled up another screen showing the Void Walkers' shield data. Their defensive systems started failing at the exact same moment. "Are you saying our emotions affected their technology?" Jane asked, leaning closer to study the readings. "Not just emotions, specifically anger. Human anger appears to create a unique energy field that disrupts advanced alien technology. Their ships are powered by pure logic and order. Our emotional energy is like static in their systems." The command center grew quiet as people stopped to listen. Mike pulled up more data, this time from other encounters with the Void Walkers. Each time humans got angry, the aliens' technology became less reliable. "How did we miss this?" Jane wondered aloud, her mind racing with possibilities. "Because we weren't looking for it," Mike replied. "We always thought our emotions were a weakness. The aliens certainly think so, but what if they're actually our greatest weapon?" A young technician ran up to them, holding a tablet. "Admiral, you need to see the latest satellite feeds," she said breathlessly. "The Void Walkers are attacking a research station on Europa, but something strange is happening to their ships." The main screen switched to a live feed from Jupiter's moon. 3 Void Walker ships surrounded the small human outpost, their weapons charging. But as the station's crew fought back with desperate fury, the alien ship's perfect formation began to waver. Their shots went wide. Their shields flickered like bad light bulbs. "Their systems are failing," Mike said, checking the readings. "The angrier our people get, the worse their technology performs. It's like their machines can't handle the chaos of human emotions." Jane straightened up, a plan forming in her mind. "Get me a direct line to every ship captain and military commander," she ordered. "I don't care what country they're from. And find me every scientist who specializes in energy fields and emotional response." As her orders were carried out, Jane watched another screen showing news feeds from around the world. Millions of humans were angry, their fury at the Mars attack growing stronger each day. And somewhere in that anger was the key to defeating an enemy that thought themselves invincible. "Doctor," she said, turning to Mike, "how quickly can we design technology that runs on emotional energy instead of fighting against it?" Mike's fingers flew over his keyboard. Traditional power sources try to be stable, predictable. But if we built engines that channeled human emotions, especially anger. He paused, looking up with wide eyes. "We could create weapons they've never seen before, defenses they can't break." "Do it," Jane ordered, "and put out a call for volunteers. I want people who lost friends or family on Mars, people who know how to focus their anger instead of letting it control them." As the command center burst into activity, Jane looked back at the main screen. The Void Walkers thought they were being logical by attacking Mars. Instead, they had awakened something they couldn't understand: the full force of human emotion. transformed from a weakness into a strength. The real question wasn't whether humanity could win this war. The question was whether the galaxy was ready for what humanity would become once they learned to truly harness their anger. Tom Wilson stared at the strange device in the center of the laboratory, its metal surface reflecting the bright overhead lights. He had worked on many projects before, but nothing like this. Next to him, Dr. Lisa Cooper adjusted the sensors surrounding their creation, her face showing both excitement and worry. "Are you sure you want to be the first test subject?" she asked, looking up from her instruments. "We don't know exactly what channeling anger through the machine will do to a person." Tom nodded, his jaw set firmly. "I lost my brother on Mars. Trust me, I have enough anger to power this thing 10 times over." He stepped into the testing chamber, where dozens of sensors covered the walls. The prototype Fury engine sat in front of him, ready to either make history or explode spectacularly. "Beginning test 1 of Project Fury," Lisa announced, her voice steady as she recorded the moment. "Subject is Thomas Wilson, lead engineer. Power intake at 0, emotional sensors active." She paused, then added more quietly, "Please don't die, Tom." Tom closed his eyes, letting his mind drift back to the day he heard about Mars. The memory of his brother's last message, cut short by the attack. The feeling of helplessness as he watched the colony burn. His hands clenched into fists as the anger rose inside him, not wild and uncontrolled, but focused like a laser. The Fury engine hummed to life. Energy readings climbing, Lisa reported, her eyes wide as she watched the numbers shoot up. 10%, 30%, 60%, and still rising. The machine hum grew louder, and arcs of reddish energy began to dance across its surface. Tom opened his eyes, seeing the world through a red haze. The anger flowed through him into the machine, which glowed brighter with each passing second. But something was different about this anger. It didn't cloud his thoughts like normal fury. Instead, everything became crystal clear. "Neural patterns are stable," Lisa said in amazement. "The engine isn't just taking your anger, it's refining it somehow, making it more focused." She checked another reading and gasped. "Tom, the energy output is higher than anything we've ever recorded." Suddenly, every screen in the lab lit up with warning messages. The Fury engine's glow became almost blinding. "Power at 120%. Lisa shouted, "We need to shut it down." "No," Tom said, his voice eerily calm despite the fury flowing through him. "Look at the containment field." The energy wasn't wild or destructive. It moved in perfect patterns, like a deadly dance. "The angrier I get, the more control I have. It's not about letting the fury take over. It's about mastering it." Lisa's fingers flew over her keyboard as she recorded everything. "This is incredible. The energy signature matches exactly what we detected during the Void Walker encounters, but hundreds of times stronger and completely controllable." The test continued for 10 more minutes before Tom finally stepped out of the chamber. He wasn't tired or drained. If anything, he felt more energized than ever. "How soon can we make more?" he asked, looking at the still humming engine. "That's not the question," Lisa replied, studying the test results. "The real question is, how soon can we make them big enough for starships?" She brought up a simulation on the main screen. "If we can scale this up, install it in our fleet, we can turn their greatest weapon against them," Tom finished. "They think human emotion makes us weak, makes our technology primitive." He walked over to the Fury engine and placed his hand on its warm surface. "They don't understand that we never needed to suppress our emotions. We just needed to learn how to use them." As if in response to his words, alarms began blaring throughout the facility. Multiple Void Walker ships detected entering the solar system. The automated warning system announced, "All personnel to battle stations." Tom and Lisa shared a look. The prototype wasn't ready for battle, but it had proved their theory correct. Humanity had found its answer to the aliens' advanced technology. Now they just had to build it big enough to fight back. Send the test results to Admiral Roberts. Tom said, already heading for the door. Tell her Project Fury was a success, and tell her to get ready. Because once we install these engines in our ships, the Voidwalkers won't know what hit them. Commander Alex Hayes watched the battle display as Earth's first Fury-powered fleet moved into position near Jupiter's orbit. 50 ships, each carrying the new engines that turned human anger into pure energy. His own ship, the Vengeance, led the formation. The crew had trained for weeks to control their emotions, to channel their anger into the ship's new power cores. Voidwalker fleet detected, announced Bill from the sensor station. 300 ships coming out of light speed. They're heading straight for us. Alex took a deep breath, feeling the subtle vibration of the Fury engine through the deck plates. All ships, battle formation, he ordered. Remember your training. Don't let the anger control you. You control it. The alien ships appeared like purple shadows against the stars, their formation perfect as always. A transmission came through on all channels. Primitive humans, the Voidwalker commander's voice was cold and emotionless. Your emotional resistance is illogical. Surrender now. Show them our answer, Alex said quietly. The Vengeance's weapons opened fire, its energy beams glowing with red fury instead of the usual blue plasma. When the blast hit the lead alien ship's shields, something new happened. Instead of being stopped or deflected, the energy seemed to eat through the barrier like acid through metal. Direct hit, Bill shouted. Their shields are failing. The Voidwalkers responded with a full attack, their superior numbers darkening space with weapons fire. But as the human crews focused their anger, remembered their losses on Mars, their ship's new shields flared with crimson energy. The alien weapons scattered harmlessly against them. All ships, engage, Alex ordered. Show them what human emotion can really do. The battle that followed was unlike anything in human history. The Voidwalker ships, used to fighting with pure logic and precision, found their careful formations breaking apart. Their targeting computers failed as waves of emotional energy interfered with their systems. Their perfect tactics fell apart against enemies who fought with controlled fury. They're trying to regroup, Bill reported. Something's wrong with their ships. Their power readings are all over the place. Alex watched as a group of alien vessels attempted to form up for another attack. But the closer they got to the human ships, the more their systems malfunctioned. The Fury engines were creating a field of pure emotion that their technology couldn't handle. Target their command ship, Alex ordered. All power to the main gun. Everyone focus. He closed his eyes, thinking of Mars, of all the lives lost. Around him, his crew did the same. The Fury engine's hum rose to a roar. The Vengeance's main cannon fired. Its beams so bright it looked like a new sun had been born. The red energy struck the Voidwalker command ship dead center. For a moment, the massive alien vessel was outlined in crimson light. Then its shields collapsed completely, and the ship broke apart in a silent explosion. Enemy fleet is retreating. Bill's voice was filled with joy and disbelief. They're running. The remaining Voidwalker ships were already turning away, their once perfect formation now scattered and broken. As they fled, their engines left erratic trails in space, proving how badly human emotions had affected their technology. Alex opened a channel to the fleet. All ships report. One by one, the human vessels checked in. They had lost 5 ships in the battle, a miracle considering they had faced 6 times their number. The Fury engines had worked better than anyone had hoped. Send word to Earth, he ordered. Tell them. He paused, looking at the battle debris floating in space. Tell them that the test was successful. The Voidwalkers just learned that human emotion isn't a weakness. It's the most powerful force they've ever faced. As the fleet regrouped for the journey home, Alex received messages from the other ships. Every crew reported the same thing. Using the Fury engines felt natural, like humanity had finally found its true strength. They had taken what the aliens saw as their greatest flaw and turned it into an unstoppable weapon. The real war could now begin. And this time, humanity would be the ones advancing across space, powered by the very emotions their enemies had dismissed as primitive. Ambassador David Miller walked through the massive doors of the council chamber, his footsteps echoing in the vast alien space station. The Council of 12, the most powerful gathering of species in the known galaxy, waited for him. Their seats rose high above the speaking floor like judges ready to pass sentence. "The human will step forward," announced the lead speaker, a tall being made of shimmering crystal. "You stand before this council to answer for your species' aggressive actions against the Voidwalkers." David smiled slightly, feeling the small Fury engine hidden in his diplomatic suit's power pack. The device was much smaller than the ones in warships, but it worked just the same. "I'm here to discuss peace," he said calmly. "But first, let's talk about what really happened at Mars." "Your military attacked a peaceful species," shouted one of the council members, their tentacles waving in anger. "The Voidwalkers were attempting to help guide your primitive race." "By destroying our colony?" David asked, his voice growing harder. "By killing thousands of innocent people." He pulled out a small projector, showing images of the Mars attack. "This is what your peaceful friends did to us." The council chamber grew quiet as the images played. Some members shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Others whispered among themselves. The lead speaker raised a hand for silence. "The Voidwalkers claim they acted to prevent future violence," they said. "Your species' emotional nature makes you unpredictable, dangerous." David nodded slowly. "You're right about one thing. We are dangerous, but only to those who threaten us." He touched a control on his wrist, activating the small Fury engine. "Would you like to see what human emotions can really do?" The station's lights flickered. Alerts began flashing on the council members' personal screens. The massive defense systems that protected the station started showing error messages. "What is happening?" demanded the lead speaker. "Our systems are malfunctioning." "I'm feeling angry," David explained calmly. "Just one human's controlled anger is affecting your technology. Imagine what an entire fleet of emotional humans could do." He walked forward, looking each council member in the eye. "The Voidwalkers thought our emotions made us weak. They were wrong." Security drones flew into the chamber, weapons ready. But as they got closer to David, they began spinning in circles, their programming confused by the waves of emotional energy coming from his suit. "This is impossible," one council member whispered. "Emotions cannot affect technology this way." "Humans are unique," David said. "We don't suppress our emotions like your species do. We don't try to be purely logical like the Voidwalkers. We learn to control our feelings, to use them." He touched his wrist control again, increasing the Fury engine's power. More systems around the chamber began to fail. The lead speaker stood up. "Stop this at once. This is an act of war against the council." "No," David replied. "This is a demonstration of why threatening humanity is a very bad idea. We don't want war. We don't want revenge. We want respect." He pulled out a data crystal. "In this, you'll find our terms for peace. They're very simple. Leave us alone, and we'll leave you alone. Attack us again." He let the threat hang in the air as more systems crashed around them. The council members looked at each other, their usual confidence shaken. They had never seen anything like this before. One human with a tiny device disrupting their most advanced technology. "The council will consider your terms," the lead speaker said finally. "But know that if humanity becomes a threat to galactic peace—" "We're not the ones who attacked a peaceful colony," David interrupted. "We're not the ones who tried to conquer a species we thought was primitive." He turned to leave, then stopped at the door. "Remember this moment. Remember what one angry human could do to this station. And remember that we prefer to be friends rather than enemies." As he walked out, leaving the council to think about his words, David allowed himself a small smile. The galaxy was about to change. The age of pure logic was ending. Humanity had proven that emotion, properly controlled, was the most powerful force in the universe. Maria Ross stood in her laboratory aboard the research station Unity, surrounded by holographic displays showing DNA patterns from 24 alien species. After months of studying samples from their new allies and enemies, she had finally found what made humans different from every other race in the galaxy. "You need to see this," she called to her research partner, Rob, who was analyzing Void Walker technology. "I think I know why our emotions affect their machines." Rob walked over, his eyes scanning the complex display of genetic information floating in the air. "What am I looking at?" "Evolution took a different path for humans," Maria explained, highlighting specific sections of DNA. "See these patterns? Every other species evolved to suppress their emotions as they developed advanced technology. They saw feelings as primitive, something to overcome." She brought up a new display showing human brain scans next to alien ones. "But humans? We kept our emotions. Instead of suppressing them, we learned to control them, to channel them. Our brains developed special pathways that no other species has. That's why the Fury engines work," Rob said slowly, understanding dawning on his face. "We're not just generating energy from emotions. We're generating a type of energy that shouldn't exist according to their science." Maria nodded excitedly. "Exactly. Look at the Void Walkers' technology." She pulled up scans of their devices. Everything they build is based on pure logic, perfect patterns. But human emotions create chaos in those patterns, controlled chaos, but chaos nonetheless. The station's intercom crackled to life. "Dr. Ross, please report to communications. We're receiving a transmission from a new alien species requesting contact." Maria and Rob shared a look before hurrying to the comm center. On the main screen, a new type of alien waited. They looked like tall, thin humans made of blue crystal. Their ship hung in space near the station, its design unlike anything they had seen before. "Greetings, humans," the alien said, their voice musical and strange. "We are the Star Shapers. We have watched your conflict with the Void Walkers with great interest." "Welcome to Unity Station," Maria replied. "I'm Dr. Maria Ross, lead researcher on human-alien relations." The Star Shapers' crystal body shimmed as they spoke. "We have studied your species from afar. You are unique in all our travels, the only race to master technology while keeping their emotions intact. This should be impossible." Maria smiled. "We're learning that impossible doesn't mean much when it comes to humans. Would you be willing to share your own biological data? We're studying why humans evolved differently from other species." "That is why we are here," the alien said. "We believe we know why your path was different. Our records show that your star system was once visited by ancient beings we call the Emotion Weavers. They seeded certain worlds with their essence before vanishing from the galaxy." Rob looked at the DNA displays, then back at the alien. "Are you saying some ancient species engineered humans to keep our emotions?" "Not engineered," the Star Shaper corrected. "Guided. They saw potential in your primitive ancestors, the potential to become something new. A species that could bridge the gap between emotion and technology." Maria's mind raced with the implications. That's why the Void Walkers were so afraid of us. They could sense something different about humans, something their logical minds couldn't understand. "Yes," the alien agreed. "And now you have proved that emotion, properly controlled, is not a weakness but a source of power unlike any other. The galaxy is changing because of your discovery." New data began flowing into the lab's computers. Information from the Star Shapers about the Emotion Weavers and their work across the galaxy. Maria watched in amazement as the pieces of the puzzle finally came together. "We need to send this to Earth Command right away," she said. "This changes everything we thought we knew about ourselves." As Rob prepared the data transmission, Maria looked back at the Star Shaper on the screen. "Thank you for this information. But I have to ask, why tell us now?" The crystal being's surface rippled with colors. "Because the galaxy needs balance. The Void Walkers and others like them pushed too far toward pure logic. You humans remind us that emotion has its own power, its own wisdom. The future belongs to those who can master both. Captain James Foster watched from the bridge of the peacekeeping ship Guardian as the combined fleet moved through space. Human ships flew alongside vessels from a dozen alien races, their formations a beautiful mix of styles and designs. 6 months had passed since the revelation about humanity's true nature, and the galaxy had changed in ways no one could have predicted. Incoming transmission from the Voidwalker delegation, said Anne from Communications. They're ready to sign the peace treaty. James nodded, feeling the steady hum of the Guardian's Fury engine. These days, the engine ran on a mix of emotions, not just anger, but determination, hope, and even joy. Humanity had learned that all emotions had power when properly controlled. Put them through, he ordered. The main screen lit up, showing both Voidwalker and Starshaper representatives. The two species that had once been bitter enemies now worked together, learning from each other under humanity's guidance. The treaty is prepared, the Voidwalker speaker said, their voice now carrying a hint of emotion, something unthinkable just months ago. The Terran Protectorate will oversee the peace between all species as agreed. James remembered the day Earth had proposed this solution. Instead of seeking revenge against the Voidwalkers, humanity had offered to become peacekeepers. Their unique ability to balance emotion and technology made them perfect mediators between the logical and emotional extremes of other species. Alert, called out Ben from sensors. Unknown ship approaching. Energy signature doesn't match any known species. The strange ship appeared on their screens. It looked like it was made of pure light, shifting and changing shape as they watched. Everyone on the bridge held their breath, wondering if this was friend or foe. This is a historic moment, the Starshaper representative said, their crystal form glowing brightly. The emotion weavers have returned. The light ship sent out a signal that somehow spoke directly into everyone's minds. We have watched and waited, the voice said, filled with both logic and feeling. Humanity has proven worthy of our gift. The balance has been restored. James felt a strange warmth fill him as the ancient beings made contact. The Fury engine responded, its energy synchronizing perfectly with the Emotion Weaver's ship. We welcome you, he said. We have many questions, and we have answers, the voice replied. But first, you must complete what you have begun. The treaty awaits. The signing ceremony was unlike anything the galaxy had seen before. Ships from every known species gathered around the Guardian. The Emotion Weavers bore witness as the Terran Protectorate became official, a force for peace led by the species that had learned to master both heart and mind. Let it be known, James announced to the gathered fleet, that from this day forward, no species shall be judged for having emotions or lacking them. We are all part of the same galaxy, each with our own strengths to contribute. The Voidwalkers had learned to accept emotion without losing their logic. The Starshapers had discovered new ways to use technology by studying human innovations. Even the smaller species that had lived in fear of stronger races now had a voice in galactic affairs. As James looked out at the assembled fleet, he couldn't help but smile. Humanity had gone from being seen as primitive emotional beings to becoming the bridge between different ways of thinking. The very thing their enemies had thought made them weak had turned out to be their greatest strength. Send word to Earth, he ordered. Tell them the treaty is signed. The Terran Protectorate is now active. He paused, watching the Emotion Weaver's ship dance through space, and tell them we were never alone. We just needed to prove we could use our gifts wisely. The galaxy would still face challenges. There would still be conflicts to resolve and problems to solve. But now, there was balance, logic tempered by emotion, strength guided by wisdom. And at the center of it all stood humanity, no longer trembling with uncontrolled anger, but standing proud as masters of both heart and mind. The universe had learned its lesson. Never mistake emotion for weakness. Because when humans learned to control their feelings, they didn't just survive. They showed the galaxy a better way to live.